right, guys. So first, before we get into our topic of how do our group enrollments on our upgrade programs, that's going to be our focus for today. I'm going to start with this. I want us to have a baseline of understanding of how we communicate. So we're going to use what's called the magnitude of impact scale, the magnitude of impact scale. So when you hear the word impact, right? Obviously we're martial artists. I think of impact. Look, I hit that. My watch already popped off. Too strong, baby. Too strong. Okay. So the magnitude of impact, and you guys have heard me use this before, so I'm going to kind of go through this, and I'm not going to go starting from the negative. I'm going to start kind of from baseline because there is a negative part to this. But baseline would be average, right? Average. And every time I've ever heard that word before in my life, average, I think that to me that's negative, right? Like I hear the word average, and I'm like, that's not something I really want to, communicate to people, right? But average, okay, and you should write this down so you have some idea of what that really means. But average would mean that you strive not to fail. Like your whole goal is not to fail. And immediately when I hear that, average and you strive not to fail. When I hear the not to fail part, immediately I'm like, that's the kind of person I never want to be, right? You have always or nevers, that's a never for me. Never want to be that person, okay? Good. So you have average, then the next level would be good. Good means you strive to hit the goal. And so like, whether you look at this in a relationship or in a business or in a personal goal, right? You're at the gym, whatever the target is, whatever the goals are. Average just they just want to not fail. They don't want to they want to make it to the next day. They want to actually finish the project, but they don't have to hit the goal or hit the target. Good means you hit the goal, you hit the target. Okay. Passing the bell test. Yeah, I did it. Great. Check. So that's good. Well, then after good is what's great. Okay. So great means you strive to exceed the goal or the target in front of you. You're looking to be exceptional, right? So you're going from good to great. And then what's next will be excellent. So you're on the path. When you're at great, you're on the path. It means you're pulling yourself forward. Excellent means you're striving to be innovative, right? And become the best. And so let's think about this from a sports standpoint. If you're the average baseball player, there's going to be a point in your training or your point in your competition level, whether it's middle school level, high school. Eventually, if you're an average player, you're probably no longer starting on the team. You're probably no longer even on the team. You're definitely not making it to the college level or the pro levels. Good means you're hitting the goals and targets that's set by yourself and the coaches. And so like there's the same thing. You're going to hit something that's going to stop you from being able to perform again. Great means you're striving to be exceeding that goal, but then excellent though, you're being innovative. You want to be the best. You're excellent baseball players, football players, karate players are the ones that we put on that pedestal and we aspire to want to be like. We see them how they fight or how they do a form or how they teach or how they kick or how flexible they are. They are excellent, right? They become the best at what they do. And so that should be a target for most of us that are on this call because we're looking for more and better in our life. And then above that is you have the remarkable. And the remarkable doesn't want to just innovate and become the best. They want to be first and the best. They want to be the first to ever do something, and they want to be the best to ever do it. And so what's so hard about being remarkable is you don't have a measurement stick. And so like if someone's already been first at doing something and they're the best to ever do it, well, then everyone's chasing them forever. And so like when I hear the competition conversation on sports and people talk about, was it Montana or Brady for a while? And then what happened was, before that, it was Manning and Brady because they're both playing. And there's this back and forth. And then he kind of exceeded that. And then it was a competition. Now there's not a competition, I don't think, there. Right? Now what's happening is I hear people say, is Mahomes the next Brady? Because Brady did something that no one's ever done. Played longer, played 10 Super Bowls, won 7 of them. Well, then same thing in basketball, LeBron or Jordan. But if Jordan wasn't who he was, because think about it, Kobe was compared to him, LeBron's compared to him. So remarkable is so hard because you don't really have the measurement stick. You're trying to be so far ahead of the curve. You're trying to be innovative. When I hear the word remarkable, like for me in business, I think Elon. He is an outlier. He's an outlier. He is doing things and risking things. Now, not taking the conversation to a political stance. So please hear the context here. Last week, Elon and former President Trump did a live broadcast. I think it was like 3 or 4 hours long. It's crazy. And so it has the most listen or views of a podcast ever of all time, over like getting closer to like it's like 2 billion now, crazy number. Forget all that stuff. Elon is the richest man in the world, at least that we know of, right? And he has a publicly traded company he's a part of. Okay, he's got some other companies that are not publicly traded, but Tesla's publicly traded. He has a board. And most companies, if you're one of the richest people in the world and you're part of a publicly traded company and you go on a live broadcast where anything could go, oh, and by the way, the person you're talking to definitely could take the conversation any direction at any time. Your shareholders typically would not let you do that. But Elon plays to a different game. He is remarkable. He's trying to be first and best. He wants to get to Mars. He wants to do these things that his brain can comprehend at different levels that we can't. And so what if you're the martial arts teacher and you're thinking about how I teach kids? Are you just average or good in your job because you stopped growing as a person? You didn't train anymore. You didn't get better at the skills you need better at. What if your communication, if your martial arts skills didn't improve, your communication got better? How can you move on? Remember what I said at the beginning. It's the magnitude of impact. Who are you impacting? You guys teach a lot of kids, young adults, older adults, that they're going through their own stuff. And it's a magnitude of impact. And I know the more successful you are, I know the remarkable people of the world, they make more impact. The remarkable people of the world make more impact. And so there's definitely something in your life, whether it's your actual physical skill, your selling skill, your teaching skills, there is something in your life right now that you might at best be good. And if you just go from good to great and exceed the goal, you'll impact more people. Okay. So I want you to have that in your back of your mind. Magnitude of impact scale. Okay. All right. Next. This is definitely for anybody in a leadership role. If you're teaching kids, obviously you're doing that. If you're a manager in the business, obviously you're that. If you own the business, obviously you're that. Please be a person of high level principle when it comes to this. We have too many attaboys in this world. We have too many given away things. We need to have people to earn it. Okay. So hear this. You should recognize effort. Hey, let them know you see it. Hey, Crystal, awesome job trying to, I see you there. I see the effort. Let them know. Let them know you see it. Recognize it. Reward the result. See, too many times in this world right now, we're rewarding not the result, the effort, right? Hey, I saw you try hard. Here's this thing. Hey, here's this. We're giving away the money, the accolades, the gifts, something for just someone putting in the effort, because we're so surprised nowadays that people actually put in effort on something. We don't need to do that. We need to be above that as a leader. We need to only recognize the effort. Hey, good job. Hey, I see you. Hey, you're close. Think about teaching a kid right now. You do not want to be teaching a kid martial arts and give him the belt because he showed up for classes. You know what they call those places. And who wants to be that? Like, that's the goal we're not trying to be. We're trying not to be the belt factory. And so that's what's happened in martial arts. We have been not recognizing the effort. We've actually been rewarding the effort. Here's the belt. Here's the belt. You showed up for 4 classes. Congratulations. Here's the belt. Like, nobody wants that. That kills the integrity. So recognize the effort. Hey, you're making a class all the time. Good. I love it. Awesome. I know how hard that is. Reward the result. Okay. All right. Next. I got a couple things real fast. 97% of people in business fail because they just can't make money. 97% of businesses fail, okay, because they can't make money. They can't make money because they're not providing enough value. Price is never a problem unless in the absence of value. Remember that. Price is never a problem until there's an absence of value. So the reason why they can't make money, it's not because, some people think, well, we're not making money, that's why we're going to business. No, you're going out of business, you're not surviving, it's because the value proposition is not there. Or maybe your value is really good and you just haven't got your message out there big enough, fast enough, strong enough. Okay. And so that leads me to the next point. If you can't measure it, you can't improve it. If you cannot measure it, you can't improve it. Okay. So if you can't measure it, can't improve it. So if I'm teaching someone how to do a technique in martial arts, we can measure it. So you have to make sure, whether you're teaching a kid, you're looking at your sales numbers, you're looking at how many students you need to sign up, and how many you need to upgrade, whatever the content is, you can't improve your systems and your process unless you can measure the result. So make sure that you don't set false expectations for yourself, right? The reason why people have a hard time with flexibility training is because they don't sometimes know how to measure. Where they can go in the gym, they can see, oh, okay, I got an extra 10 pounds today. They see it. Whereas the flexibility is more of a feel, right? Because you might stretch close to that much in your splits, you can't really see that. So like, that's why people are like, I don't want to stretch, but they'll go lift weights. Got to be able to measure. Okay. So anytime you're stressed and frustrated with something that you're not seeing a result in, maybe you're not measuring it right, because maybe it's not put in an algorithm or a position or an equation you can actually measure. Last, before we go into working upgrades, obviously for me, I like going to the gym. I like martial arts. Those are the kind of things I like to do. I just on context, that's kind of a lot of my analogies go with sports or things like that, because it applies to the gym and martial arts. So I wrote this thing down here for me. So I want you to hear this from the gym life and the karate life. You guys will do both, okay? The only way to not be sore, I'm a little older now than I used to be, so soreness is a little different, okay? I used to never get sore, okay? Just have that for context. The only way not to be sore is keep going, okay? So in the gym, when people get sore, they start working out and they're lifting weights, right? Jackson went and lift weights with me a couple times a week ago, and he was hurt for like 2-3 days. And like, so I went back to this because I wrote this down a long time ago. This relates to a lot of things in life too. But think about this: when you go get sore at the gym, if you wait 3, 4, 5 days or a week, you're just going to keep getting sore, right? Consistency is undefeated. Consistency is undefeated. And so if you are at the gym and you get sore and you don't go back for a week or 2 weeks, you're going to get sore again. And so the idea is to get your body to respond and to grow, and you have to do that with consistency. Relate that to your life. How many times you've kind of had that pain, so you pull back and you wait, you go, and you never break through that barrier. You never get to the next version of what that feels like. So in the gym, you don't want to be sore, keep going. Okay. Now, the only way to become great, we're talking about the impact scale from average all the way to remarkable. The only way to become great, you start with frequency. And so if you're going to start, you're going to stay frequent. And that's still a karate life. I believe I would say I'm a great martial artist. And I believe I became that way, not because I was born that way. How many of you guys have taught someone and the first 3 weeks in the karate school, you're like, oh my God, this is gonna be the greatest black belt of all time. This guy's learning everything so fast. I throw everything at him, he gets it. Anybody ever had a student like that? You're so jacked to teach them? Bet you they never made it a black belt. They quit because it wasn't challenging enough, because you were giving them everything. They could grab it. So they didn't appreciate the gift they had. They did not appreciate the gift. If, I know that's a bad word sometimes, but if they had that kind of talent, but at some point in their life, they had some sloppiness and some messes up, they messed up somewhere and they had to learn, hey, I've got to overcome that. If they would have learned that grit, that resilience, and applied it over here, then maybe they were stuck. But when they start martial arts and it just comes easy to them, I guarantee I've had zero. If anybody on this call has had, it's probably one that stuck to it. Okay. But when that person starts in the first 2 weeks, you're like, this is the next Bruce Lee. They know everything. They're learning everything. The reality is they probably don't make it a black belt. And so I believe I became great at martial arts because, well, one, I had to struggle, and two, really, frequency. Like if you do something for 40 years, you're not great at it, there's a problem somewhere. You better be great at something if you've been doing it for 40 years. Now, why do I say that? Okay, so I gave you a gym life. You don't want to be sore. You got to keep going. And hey, you want to be great at something, the karate game, for example, or anything in life, you got to be frequent. It's a message in there, like, think about the things in your life. Everybody here that's 30 and up. Okay, everybody younger than that, you don't count yet. You're still learning. Actually, 40 is probably the new 30 anyway. But everybody here that's 30 and up. Well, you've been driving a car for maybe 15 years. You don't even think about driving anymore. Okay, you've been eating your whole life. You've been spending money your whole life, or saving money your whole life, or making money for most of your adulthood, right? But you still have the same problems all the time because you haven't like busted through that next barrier. You haven't gotten to the end of that level, fight that boss and beat the boss, because you would get sore a little bit or have some defeat and you bounce back. And so just think about how you want more in your life, or you complain about certain things. Maybe you don't even say it out loud. It's in your head and you know you're capable. You know your potential's higher. and you know there's people in front of you that need to hear these lessons, that they need to see you grow. They need to see you be honest and vulnerable, because then you're real. Because a lot of you guys who are teaching martial arts, your people think you're untouchable. And you know that. And you like it. Feed your ego. It's great. And man, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. So I'm asking you guys to really kind of deep dive. Where's the impact that you're having? Where's that scale? You're average in some places. What if you could become remarkable somewhere? Okay, so here we go. Changing gears here. Here we go. Today, I want to focus on the opportunity you have to take a seminar and turn it into an opportunity to impact students on new skills, and at the same time, give them the ability to move up to the next tier in that program and flood your martial arts school with more members in a higher level program, bring in revenue, and then also have the family get a win, whether it be in financial opportunity for them to join a program, and to also make sure that the promise that you guys tell people about, hey, maybe you start telling people you're a black belt school and this is what you stand for. Well, sometimes you don't do it fast enough. You're not doing it. And so people don't see it. And if they don't see it, they don't believe it. And so then they start thinking that maybe you're not successful, or maybe you're not honest with your words. And so you do these events when you need a flood in real fast of an existing program that's maybe died down a little bit. Maybe you need to renew your energy in that program, or maybe you're starting a new one of these. And so before we go into actually the context of how you do it, you cannot do these well unless you already have your trial programs, your core programs, and then your electives. We talked about this past few weeks. So we're talking about how do we get people to your elective programs, or maybe your trial to your core, but really you're on your core and you're taking them to one of your electives. And so if you don't have these written out, this makes it really hard to do. Next is, if you don't have things priced at a certain level, if you don't have high ticket items, when you do promotions, there's nothing to promote, right? So you got to have the stuff laid out first. I'm going to take the assumption you guys have a core, you have your trial program, you have your core program, and you have your electives. All right. So that being said, here's how you should run a group course, where the idea is to take them through a taste of what the next program is, let them have an experience, let them literally dip their toes in the water, so to speak, to explore what it's going to be like in that program. If you were buying a car, they call this a test drive, okay, with the idea that they're going to make their decision on the spot. So first, I would say this. You need to make sure that you do not wing these by planning them. Oh, well, today is Wednesday. I'm going to do one on Saturday. Today is Friday. I'm going to do one tomorrow. No, I would not do it that way. You would like to have about 8 weeks in the future that you know you're going to do it on a certain day. And so let's say right now, I'm going to look 2 months into the future, pick the Saturday, for example, pick a time slot that's going to make sense, and I'm going to go ahead and put it on there, because things that get scheduled get done. And so after this call, if you're thinking, man, I need to do one of these, before I get to my holiday sale, I need to do one maybe next month. Look at your calendar after this call. Go ahead and put it on your phone or on your Google account, whatever way you do it. Schedule it. Go ahead and put it on there, and then set a reminder, 4 weeks before it, for things you have to do. If you have enough time, depending on when you schedule it, 8 weeks before, use technology to make sure you stay consistent so you don't forget. Because after a couple hours, you're going to be busy doing something else. You'll forget. Things get scheduled, get done. So you want about 8 weeks. That'd be the perfect time. I've got this scheduled. Then I look at my list of who I'm going to invite. So on this kind of workshop, because I know I'm giving people the opportunity to save some money, but they have to make a decision at that moment, I'm looking for people that we've already pitched that were interested, but there was a money problem. So I make a list of those people. I've got a list of people who we didn't upgrade or renew, and the program's about to end in the next few months. I put those people on the list. I look at people that I know need to move into the next program a little bit quicker, and I want them in there, and I want to get them there faster, right? So if there's someone who's excelling in a program and I want to give them an opportunity to have a victory financially and also just to make a decision, I can invite those people. Those would be my C people. The B people would be the ones that are expiring and I just haven't had a chance to get to them for whatever reason. But the first list of people have already pitched, and I knew it was a money issue. They were a yes, except for the money or the commitment, okay? So that's kind of my ABC list of who I invite. I like a birthday party. It's kind of, if I want 10 people, excuse me, if I want 10 people to show up for the birthday party, I need to invite 30. And I believe you want about, for this kind of workshop to work, you want about 15, 16 kids there. Too many more than that doesn't feel, it feels, uh, unauthentic. I don't want four, all right, because I'd rather do them on a one-on-one basis if that's the case. So somewhere for me is like 8 to 16 kids. And so if I want 16 kids to show up, I'm probably inviting, at least 30. That would be the lowest number, or 50. Okay. And the way I do the invite, you gotta understand this. The reason why 8 is important is I'm gonna type up an independent letter to each person, right? You know, to the mom, and then a little message to the kid. So, hey, Mrs. Smith, I'm inviting our son Jackson to a special VIP event, date, time, location, what is it, etc. And then I'll put a little note for Jackson there. Hey Jackson, I'm excited to see you. We're gonna work on this skills, etc. So I want it personalized. And I want to mail those out traditional way, not an email. All right. I want them to get this. Now you want to take it to the next level. You can put a nice card. You can make it gold. You can theme this up as much as you want to. All right. So date, invite list, get them out there. Then gives you the bandwidth and the time to really think about like process and what you need. So I'm going to give you some concepts here so you can really understand. I'm going to take the assumption that I have someone on um, let's say they're your core program, and I'm going to take them to my next level program. And this program is where they're going to start really working, let's say, weapons, right? And they're going to get ready for competition. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick what I think is the best, coolest, most exciting format of the curriculum that kids are going to love or kids will love. And so in this scenario, I'm going to say let's say it's doing bow staff training. Okay, they don't do weapons in this program here, and this has got a bow staff training. And so in that letter, it's going to have an RSVP date. I need them to confirm. I don't want to guess who's coming, and I'm going to let them know how many spots I actually have and how few people I'm sending this to. And when they confirm, I'm going to say, hey, part of this workshop is we're going to be introducing the bow staff weapon as part of the curriculum, because we're getting you ready for this new program over here, and it's a $89 value that is gifted from Master Aaron to you when you RSVP. And so I'm going to overpromise, overdeliver. I'm going to get those 16 kids to confirm. I'm going to invest the money to have them way ahead of time. And so if I order these the week before, I'm not going to be here in time. Now I'm not going to order my standard, what I use in my school. I'm probably going to use, something that's a little bit step below that, because some of these kids are not going to do this, but I am going to let them keep it. But I'm still investing the money into these kids showing up for this workshop. Okay. That's why you got to plan this really good. Next, you got to make sure on the day of, you're going to have enough staff there to really operate this in the right function. And so what that means is you have to role play. You have to backwards engineer with your staff or your help volunteer team so this event goes really well. Because anytime somebody shows up to do something they normally don't do, we all know people are going to be a little anxious, a little nervous. And so that means we need more hands on deck to help kind of pull the best out of people. All right, so got my list, got my letters out. I picked what the curriculum is going to be to introduce them to the next thing. Then you play the follow-up game to make sure you have the RSVP list. Now, the day of the event, you want to treat them like they've never been there before. Greet them at the door. Get them on the floor. They're going to be a little excited, a little anxious, etc. If you're doing the bow staff thing, maybe you're putting the name on the weapons. You haven't set it down somewhere. You don't let them mess with it yet, but they see it. They get all excited. Okay, it's like Christmas. And then I get the kids on the floor. And then what I'm going to do if I'm teaching the class, my helpers are going to be doing this. I'm getting the parents in the audience. And then right before we start, I'm always going to start with intention. And so I look to the parents. Hey, parents, thank you guys for being here. Hey, my intention today is to help your children understand what the value of earning their Bible is going to be in the future. For parents, for what I want you guys to do is I want you to understand that we are your teammates here to help make sure your children are competent warriors for life, that we're preparing them physically, mentally, emotionally. And today, you guys have already been members here for a period of time. Today, the goal is to take your kids to the next level so they become more courageous in their life. They become more confident in their life. And I know for a fact, when you have confidence, you can do anything you set your mind to. And that's a gift that I want to be able to give your children in front of you today. By the way, parents, if you see over here to the side, I've got these boards here. I want you guys to go pick one up. What I want you to do is I want you to write on that board the biggest obstacle holding your son or your daughter back from being their best version of themselves. Don't tell me right now. Don't tell it to them. I want you to write it on that board, and I want you to hold on to that. And I'm going to ask you at the end of the class here to come up and help us understand what your son or daughter is going through. Okay, so I'm letting them know. I want to put that big challenge for them. Then I'm going to get the kids up there, and I'm going to take them through first before we get into the whatever the high-level curriculum we get them to. Some core things. I'm going to start hard. Okay, if you guys were in Atlanta, we did the class. We didn't even move when we're sweating. I'm going to start off with hard. I'm going to start off with very structured. I'm going to set the tone. I'm going to set the intention. If you remember when I taught you guys, I set the intention. I stacked you guys next to each other. I created competition. I created an element of what the discipline and the structure is going to be. And so I'll take them through 10, 15 minutes. And the whole time I'm reprogramming them the idea of black belt's the first belt, and that's where we're going first. That's our first North Star we go after, and what the value is. This only works if you're using that word black belt continually through your program. It should not be a surprise that should be their first goal. Not the goal, not the only goal, the first goal. And then I'll introduce the new curriculum. So bow staff or nunchucks or sparring skills, etc. And then you want to go through the responsibility. You want to go through why you do weapons, all these type of things. But the goal is let them have the appetizer, right? And so there's less chance for buyer's remorse here. They're actually getting to do the curriculum. You're explaining the process here. Now, how long should this take? From the time they walk in to the time class starts, that should be about 15 minutes, right? So if you have 16 kids come in there, these are already members of your school. These are not people that don't know anything, even if they feel like it's a new experience for them. So I want to make sure that there's a period of time when they come in, I'm able to have them get on the floor, get dressed, ready to go. Once the class starts, until I get to the end of the class, you don't need an hour. 45 minutes is enough. The goal is high impact, high energy, direct, with intent. And the reason why 45 minutes is good is because in the last 15 minutes, after they've done their curriculum, so if I'm blocking this off, I have a little conversation with the parents at the beginning, I get to kind of a core martial arts warm-up into the curriculum. 45 minutes, 40 minutes is great. And then I need that 15, 20 minutes at the end for this. I get all the kids down. Let's say I got the 16 kids. I would do it this way, okay? More than 16, maybe it changed a little bit, but I'm going to bring up one kid at a time, bring the family up together in front of everybody. And before I've done this, I've already spoken to the kids and the parents about what the board represents. The board represents, back in the day, before we had bags and all these things to hit, we would break boards to prove that our technique was a solid technique, that it could be an effective technique. Nowadays, we have technology, we have equipment. We don't need to do that, all right? What we break boards for now is the representation of the board represents the obstacle that's in front of us, the block, whatever it is, something mentally stopping you, something physically stopping you. And most people only see pain in life. They see the obstacle, they see the pain. And when you see pain, you stay there, right? You keep it in that wall. When you see success and you can literally know, not guess, know where you're going, and you only see success, and you see, you're not blind, you see it, you have to focus on it, but you're really focused beyond it. Well, that is the idea we want to give your kids. And so I've programmed their thinking to understand that what it represents, that it's not just cool and fun, it is that too. And I bring the families up there, and I'll have the kid standing next to me, and I'd ask mom and dad, hey mom, what did you write on the board? And she would write on there his ability to listen at home. Oh, okay. Well, Jackson, you're not listening to your mom at home? And by the way, this is in front of everybody. And I'm not trying to shame him. You don't want to you're not embarrassing someone. What you're doing is you're trying to have an honest conversation that every kid probably there needs to have. And I want to be as real and emotional and vulnerable as I can with this kid in front of everybody. So you have to be really confident about who you are to do this. And I'm going to ask this kid in front of everybody, because basically I'm getting witnesses to this. It's like, hey, Jackson, is that true? And some kids literally have done this. They'll say no. I'm like, really? So you're telling me your mom's not being honest? Right? So I'm putting a little bit of pressure on the kid to be real with me. And so in this scenario, Jackson, you're not listening to mom at home? Yeah, I'm not doing that. Okay. Hey, are you making a commitment to change that today? And so I get the kid basically give me testimony in front of me that he is going to step his life up. I'm putting positive intent and positive pressure on. And then I'll hold the board, they'll break it. And I've already taught the families that right after that, give them a big hug. I do this one kid at a time, but I do it fast paced. I'll do 16 kids. It'll take me 15 minutes. I give everybody about a minute apiece to do this. You got to practice. Remember, anything you've done the first time is not as good. What happens is you create an emotional response, and people buy with emotion. I will tell you this. Do not be surprised. You get great at this. Don't be surprised. You're going to have half the room crying. You're going to have some kids can't break the board. and I'm real about this, I give them 3 attempts, they can't break it. I say, hey, look, we're going to finish class, and after class, we're going to try this again. I don't let them stay up there and embarrass themselves forever. Don't be surprised if you cry. I've had some people write some really hard stuff that, like it touched something in me. And don't be embarrassed. Don't be like, be real. I think this is your best opportunity right now. The group of people that already know you, they're already members, to be real with them. And so you take everybody one at a time. And the goal is, all right, and you have different levels. You could have competition team tryouts this way. You could do your black belt course tryouts this way. But you got these 8 kids or 16 kids in this room. This whole thing's about an hour long. Then you sit the families down. You explain the next level program to them, the name of the program, what it really is, and then you make sure the kids understand the commitment that they have to make too. And then you do your pitch. The pitch needs to be very clear. Hey, parents, listen, this is a special opportunity. And then you give them the timeline of when they have to make that decision. You got to give them a short time line on this when you're giving them. You can't give discount and less commitment, and then also they can make forever to make this decision. And so typically for me, it's been the same day. They've got to tell me before end of day or the weekend. For the Saturday course, hey, before start of business Monday. Or you can say right then and on there, they got to make the decision. I would have a 1-sheet piece of paper with all your terms already typed out. Simple, less is more. You can bring up a longer form agreement if you need to in the future, but right then you want your terms very simple. Here's what the terms should be. And this is why having a higher level ticket price, because then you can do things like this when you need to build your program. All right. Hopefully you guys are getting a lot of value from this right now. So you start off with what the program typically is. So I'm going to go off of right now. Let's say the course was a 36-month program. And so, hey, parents, here's the course, here's information. Typically, because remember, some of these guys have already said no to this because couldn't afford it. Typically, you guys already know it's a 36-month commitment. The cost is $10,000 all in, and that equals out to X amount of months per money, and then your equipment. And if you go ahead and do it today, here's our offer for you. So I start off with what it normally is. If you think about this as normal selling, hey, here's retail, here's a discount today. My suggestion would be this. The 2 things that people have fear about when it comes to purchasing something for their kids that is a program like martial arts that has a commitment level to it is, well, maybe they don't want to do it for 36 months. So commitment. Next, the economy is not great right now. Money, right? Money. Those are going to be the 2 things. And so before I even really get to the pitch, I'll explain the program, go over what it normally is, and I'll say, hey, parents, listen, this is your best opportunity you're ever going to have, and I do need you to make this decision. And I would like nothing better than to make sure your kids are in their black belt or whatever the next level program is, okay? So make sure you reaffirm the commitment of really what you want. And then what I would do from there is you take your normal retail pricing and you solve the 2 things that typically people have a problem with, which is commitment and money. And so I would not slash it too crazy because you don't want to devalue the program. But what I would probably do is take your 36 months and maybe offer a shorter opportunity for commitment. Doesn't need to be 50%. I would go from 36 maybe to 24. And then if your price is 10K for a prepay, I would not, and let's say your monthly payment, whatever that would equal out to, I would not try to slash it so crazy where, it's like a deep dive discount. What I would prefer you do is stack things on. I really would prefer you not to discount the cost, but to stack things on. And so what would that look like? What can you include to enhance the opportunity for them to say yes in that day? And so one option would be, hey, it's 10K normally for the 36 months, right? You have your option if you take monthly, we reduce it to 24 months and you pay XYZ. Or if you're doing the 10K today, we stack on 12 extra months. We'll stack on every belt testing, even your first black belt test. That's $1,500 or $2,000, whatever you charge for that. And hey, we're also going to throw in there 12 vouchers or private lessons worth $3,000 for you to use at any time. So I'm going to add, $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000. In the perfect world, I'm going to double the value. In the perfect world, I want to give them $20,000 of service for 10. So I didn't discount the price. I kept the price what normally was at, but I gave them so much extra value that it's almost crazy to not say yes. Okay. On the monthly level, same thing. What could I stack on? Now, if I'm doing a 36-month program and I reduce it to 12 or 24 months, I want to accept all payments within 12 months. Okay. I do not want someone passing the 50% mark and still owe money on that program. My target always is to have a 12-month program, they pay in 6. Have a 24-month program, they pay in 12. When people pay, they pay attention. And if they don't show up, they think they don't have to pay. So if they get past that halfway point, you should be good enough to get your people past the halfway point. In their mind, they're free rolling. They're definitely not quitting, or at least it's harder for them to quit. And I want to fulfill the promise, getting people to the goals we set. Remember, average, good, great. I at least want to get my people from average to good, which means they want to hit the goal and hit the target. All right, now, if you don't take that process, you want to do a discount. You take your $10,000 and you've got to make it so incentivized that they have to say yes. And I believe it's got to be somewhere about 40%. For someone to feel overwhelmingly got to say yes, 40 to 50% is that number. And so that would be $6,000. I don't like that process because that's a $4,000 gap. 16 people say yes to you. That's a lot of lost opportunity. Okay. And I believe value is what I'm adding. So I don't want to discount that. And so that's one. The other option is if your down payment was 500 and your monthly payment is 400, just making numbers easy for right now, you could do a 50% reduction in that. Okay. So $250 down payment today, and it's $200 a month going forward for the next 24 months. You got to make it where they have to feel so overwhelmed with the value given, they say yes. So I don't like those options because then you have to make up the per value per month. And that's a tougher thing to do as opposed to stack on the opportunities. Now, pricing structure doesn't matter. If the value is not there, if you didn't teach in a high energy class, if you didn't invite them early enough, if you just put it together really haphazardly. Because if I plan this right, I'm going to tell you what I would do. I'm going to believe so much in what I'm doing. If I have 16 kids that have confirmed they're showing up, I already got them both apps. I would already prepaid for most of the equipment that I know that I can keep in stock and inventory that I can use again and have it available. So I would say, hey, parents, when you pay right now, your kids get to take home the equipment package. And then I already have it pre-done with their kids' names on it. You want to go next level? This is what I did before. A lot of times I'd have their bags, their gear bags, all their stuff in it, laying up front with already their name on it. You want to take it to the next level? It's like your black belt course. Already have a black belt with their name embroidered on it with the expected year of when they're going to earn their black belt. If you're confident in your ability, you got plenty of time, you got 8 weeks. What if the 16 kids show up? When they show up, in front of your mat is their duffel bags with all their equipment, their weapons, and a belt right there with their last name on it and the year they're supposed to earn their black belt. I mean, that shows the parents that you believe so much in their kids that you've already spent and invested the energy and the money. But that is high level belief. And so like anything you do in life, first couple times you do this, probably not as going to be as good as most. So if I was launching a new program, I seed it this way. If you need to get more people into your next level program, this will be a great opportunity. And timing is important. So you don't want to take away from your holiday sale. And if you do it this way, this has got to be a better, if you do it before, it's got to be a better deal than what will be at the holiday sale. So you got to think about those terms because this is where planning creates opportunity for profit. All right, now I'm going to pause here.